France, 1944, near the front lines. Dwight D. Eisenhower's convoy rolls to a stop at a forward command post. The Supreme Allied commander steps out impeccably dressed, uniform pressed, stars gleaming on his collar. He's here to inspect operations and meet senior commanders. As Eisenhower walks past a cluster of soldiers working on equipment, he barely notices one officer crouched among them. The man's uniform is dirty, his helmet plain, no rank visible. He's hands-on helping fix a jammed machine gun. Just another field-grade officer doing his job. Then the officer looks up. Eisenhower freezes. "George, is that really you?" The officer grins, grease smeared across his hands. "Hello, Ike. Didn't recognize me without the pearls and ivory, did you?" Eisenhower stares in disbelief. Standing in front of him, almost invisible in plain sight, is the most recognizable general in the U.S. Army, George S. Patton. This is the story of how Patton, famous for his ivory-handled pistols and polished, theatrical appearance, could become completely unremarkable when he wanted to be. How a general who carefully cultivated a public image could blend so seamlessly into his own army that even Eisenhower walked right past him, and it reveals the calculated duality at the heart of Patton leadership. To understand this moment, you have to understand the two versions of George Patton that existed at the same time. There was the public Patton, the one photographers loved and soldiers told stories about. His boots gleamed. His uniform was perfectly tailored. 3 stars were clearly visible on his helmet liner. On his hips rested 2 ivory-handled pistols in custom leather holsters, imposing, authoritative, instantly recognizable from 100 yards away. This wasn't vanity. It was deliberate theater. Patton understood the power of image. He knew soldiers fought harder for commanders they admired, feared, and remembered. The pistols, the polish, the swagger, these were props in a performance designed to inspire. But there was another Patton. The frontline Patton wore standard-issue gear, a plain helmet with no markings, a field jacket that could belong to any officer, often mud-stained or oil-smudged. Sometimes he carried a rifle instead of pistols. He looked like a major or lieutenant colonel, important enough to be forward, but not important enough to draw sniper fire. This Patton could walk through his own units without being recognized. He could inspect positions without triggering panic cleanups. He could ask junior officers questions and get honest answers because they had no idea they were talking to a 3-star general. Most generals maintained one image. Patton maintained 2 and switched between them, depending on what the situation required. The public Patton inspired armies. The invisible Patton understood reality. Patton believed in what modern doctrine calls ground truth, knowing what's actually happening, not what reports claim is happening. He learned early in his career that the higher your rank, the less truth you hear. Reports get sanitized. Problems get minimized. Successes get exaggerated. By the time information reaches an army commander, it's often detached from reality. Patton's solution was simple. Don't rely on reports, go see for yourself, and if you want honesty, don't announce who you are. When Patton arrived in full regalia, everything magically worked. Broken equipment suddenly functioned. Dirty positions got cleaned. Everyone put on a performance. But when he showed up looking like just another officer, he saw the truth: undermanned positions, broken radios, missing supplies that paperwork claimed had arrived. He'd casually ask questions. How's ammunition? When was the last hot meal? What's your biggest problem right now? And the answers were real. Then he'd walk away, and within hours, those problems would be fixed. His staff hated this. They never knew where he was. He'd vanish for hours, sometimes appearing miles from where he was supposed to be. They feared he'd been captured or killed. Patton didn't care. To him, understanding reality was worth the chaos. The encounter with Eisenhower happened during one of these excursions. Third Army was advancing rapidly through France. Communications were chaotic. Patton wanted to know which units were actually moving and which weren't, so he grabbed a jeep, took 1-8 and went forward. No insignia, no announcement. Meanwhile, Eisenhower arrived for a scheduled inspection, planned, coordinated, precise. He expected to meet Patton. Patton wasn't there. While waiting, Eisenhower walked the area. Near the motor pool, he noticed an officer helping soldiers diagnose an engine problem. Something about the man's posture caught his attention. Then the officer looked up. "Afternoon, Ike." Eisenhower was stunned. "I almost walked right past you. What are you doing?" Patton gestured at the engine. Carburetors fouled. They were about to deadline it. Just needed cleaning. It was classic Patton, the commander of an entire army, teaching privates how to fix a jeep. Eisenhower was amused, frustrated, and concerned all at once. "You're an army commander. You shouldn't be wandering around like this." Patton shrugged. "Looking like what? A soldier. That's what I am. The stars are just paperwork." Eisenhower couldn't argue with results, but the risks were enormous. If Patton were captured or killed, the consequences would be catastrophic. What if you run into Germans? Eisenhower asked. Patton patted the pistol under his jacket. "Then they're the ones who should worry. Besides, I'm usually behind our lines." Usually. That didn't help. They compromised. Eisenhower told him to be more careful. Patton agreed, knowing he wouldn't stop. This wasn't a one-off. Throughout the war, Patton repeatedly appeared unannounced at hospitals, supply depots, frontline units, fixing problems before anyone realized who he was. Eventually word spread. If an unknown officer asked very detailed questions, it might be Patton. That uncertainty kept everyone sharp. When Eisenhower asked, "Is that really you?" he wasn't just surprised by Patton's appearance, he was witnessing the secret behind Patton's effectiveness. The showman inspired. The invisible general understood reality. Most leaders choose between image and substance. Patton refused, and that contradicts managed intelligently is what made him dangerous, effective, and unforgettable, because sometimes the best disguise is being exactly what people don't expect you to be.